Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Thrive Blogger podcast. This episode is all about burnout and specifically about preventing burnout this year. Raise your hand virtually, wherever you're listening, if you have ever experienced burnout in your life. And I wish I could see all of you because I'm pretty sure you all should be raising your hand, even if you didn't, or even if you're like mentally raising your hand. It's something that affects all of us in different parts of our lives. And what I want to talk to you guys about today is specifically how to prevent burnout in our business when we're growing our brand, doing all the things. And I do mean all the things, right? Juggling and wearing many, many hats. How do we prevent burnout? So that is what we're going to dive in today. We're going to talk about cool, what are some of the, why do we get burnout? What are some of the fun symptoms of burnout? I'm going to talk about how it's affected me. And we're going to importantly talk about different strategies for preventing it and just how to recognize, okay, cool, I'm definitely feeling like I am headed towards burnout or I am definitely burnt out. And what do we actually do about it when we're feeling that way? So let's go ahead and just dive right on in. It is so interesting to just watch this industry and see it arise. It's interesting, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I just want to, I go into like mama bear mode where I'm like, I just want to help you and I want to help everybody not deal with burnout anymore because it is so prevalent in this industry. There is so much going on. It's such a fast pace industry that we are working in. You're juggling so many different things. And I mean, especially if you're not doing this full time. Apologize to whoever's editing. It sounded like somebody was trying to get into my garage, but it's upstairs. Not okay. We're good. Let me make sure my mic is still. All right. Where was it? It's so easy just to experience burnout in this industry if you're not careful, especially if you are not doing this full time, if you have a full time job, or if you've got kiddos you're taking care of, or you've got clients, and this is something that you are doing on the side, or maybe, it's just not to the point where you can financially do it full time. And so it's one more thing that is on your plate. It's easy for anybody to experience burnout. Like let's make that known. Like it's easy for anyone to experience burnout if we're not careful. You're not alone there. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not doing anything wrong if you have experienced it or if you currently are. So let's just dive into like how we can actually help ourselves avoid it as much as possible. So, first of all, let's just talk about like what are some of the common signs and symptoms of burnout, especially in this industry. So, maybe it's like you not wanting to work or just lacking the motivation. You're like, I love my business. I love the content and everything, but I'm just like, I can't get myself to do it. It's feeling exhausted, or maybe feeling like I just don't have any creativity. Like right now, I could not tell you what two colors look good together. I could not tell you how to make a simple recipe. It all sounds boring and terrible right now. Or maybe it looks like ghosting your followers, not emailing them, not getting on its stories, not blogging, right? There's so many different ways that burnout affects us. It can also start to affect us in our personal life where, okay, now it's creeping into, I just want to chill on the couch and watch Gilmore Girls. That's my default when I get tired. If you guys hadn't learned that about me yet, my go-to is to chill on the couch and watch Gilmore Girls. And so it's when, it starts to creep into personal life too, that also like really sucks, right? Not wanting to go anywhere, not wanting to do certain things. It's very very frustrating, not great. I've dealt with this myself many points in life. I wish I hadn't. Obviously, we all wish we hadn't dealt with burnout before, but I definitely have. And others in the community have as well. It's been something that's been a big talking point inside of Shift and the Profitable Blogger Society. Really, us talking about like, "Ooh, I'm starting to feel burnt out," or wanting to make sure that like I don't put too much on my plate so that I burn out. I think one of the things that I've seen recently, and even with myself, is where we're getting things done and we're still motivated to get certain things done. Or maybe it's like certain tasks. You're like, I can always knock those out pretty quickly and pretty easily. Maybe it's not my favorite thing, but I'm still able to like get through it. But then when it comes to like being creative and coming up with fresh ideas, you're feeling tapped. I call that like creative burnout. So, like, you're still getting things done, but you're not coming up with fun things that you love. And that's like what you're passionate about. And that's like that creative burnout. I think there's a couple of things to this. So I'm kind of like branching off in this topic here, but go with me for a minute. So I think there's that burnout where we just, keep going, keep pushing, and there's just too much going on and we get burnt out. Or maybe we don't have like a strategic plan. And so it's just not happening. And we're getting tired. We're getting tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe we're not seeing the results we want. Something's not lighting us up and fulfilling us. So there's that burnout, which could also be creative burnout. I think there's also another thing that happens. It's happened with me and it's happened with some others that I've talked to where there's all of these things that you have to do. And so we don't prioritize fun and creativity in our lives. So for me, for example, I have a lot on my plate, and this actually happened. I had this realization probably a year or two ago now at this point. But whenever anything would come up, so my background is in graphic design. I've also been in the blogging world since 2011. And I love the creative aspect. I love designing. I have so many different hobbies that are random that I love. I mean, I love baking. I love drawing. I love painting. I love gardening. I love just like being creative and having fun. And so there's been often times in my business, especially a couple years ago, when things were really busy. I was launching a new program, I was launching Shift. Like there was a lot of moving pieces and a lot of like not busy work, but like computer work, CEO work, like business building type of work, right? Like, so if that's you, maybe that's like, I've got to like really build content. I've got to create content. I've got to work on my SEO. I've got to build some email opt-ins to grow my list, like just some like heavy computer work. And so whenever I would have like a spark where I was like, oh, I really want to be creative and I want to design this fun thing. I would always talk myself out of it. I'm like, no, I don't have time for that. I need to be doing this. And those creative sparks, like they kept trying. It was like something in me was like a little flame would try to ignite, like the match. And it would go to light the candle of creativity, but like it wouldn't light. And so it was just matches that just kept getting burnt, and they just were not lighting that candle of creativity because I was blowing them out as soon as I would have them. Be like, nope, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for you. I don't have time to paint. I don't have time to draw. I don't have time to jump into Canva and make a fun graphic that I think my audience would like. Like, no, I don't have time because I have to do this. What ended up happening was that candle, we're just going to run with this metaphor, that candle got real dusty and real sad and got shoved in a closet somewhere and didn't get used for a really long time. And so then it was a little bit harder to light because there was too many layers of dust on it. And that's unfortunate, right? And so I didn't realize I was doing it until a while down the road. And I was feeling burnt out. And I'm like, what's going on? What is causing my burnout? And I was realizing that I was doing all the busy work and I wasn't allowing myself to have fun anymore. I was enjoying what I was doing. I was building a business, things were growing. I was coaching people. I was loving it. I was loving helping people. I was still like creating content and sharing it with you guys, still recording podcasts, still in the Facebook group, all of those things. But there was this creative side of me that I kept putting out and not allowing to grow. And that is a huge part of me. And so as a result, that just really got buried. And then when I needed it, or when I needed to stop feeling like, why am I burnt out? Why am I feeling burnt out? I'm doing all the things I love. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Because I am not letting myself do this creative thing, which actually does fill my cup and actually does have a huge effect on every other aspect of my business. You guys know this, right? If you're not able to be creative with the recipes that you're making, with the blog posts you're writing for other moms, with whatever it is that your niche is, if you're not able to do those things that are really fun, it all starts to feel like just heavy work for you to lift. And that's when we hit burnout. And that's what happened to me. So that meant I had to start reprioritizing creativity and having to be like, this is not a waste of time because I'm not seeing a return on blah, 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 blah. This isn't helping my SEO. This isn't whatever. And having to really look at like, you know what? This actually does affect every aspect of my business, because when I am not spending time filling my cup with different things, I am not able to pour into my audience and create really great content that they love. And so it results in content not performing as well, even though I'm working so hard. And it results in me feeling burnt out because of all the hard work that I'm doing that may not be landing how I want to. And I am not letting myself do the fun thing that I want. So that's me. That's my story. And when I see burnout in myself a lot, it's when I stop prioritizing things that are creative and fun for me, or I also just have way too many things on my plate, right? So we're going to talk about that as well. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because maybe there's something that's happening with you or has happened in the past, and you're like, oh, maybe that's why I was experiencing burnout. We're also wanting to figure out how to prevent it in the future, right? So if you can learn from my mistake, please learn from me. And just if you can learn and not have to deal with burnout because of that reason, I'm sure you'll deal with it for another reason, right? But if we can learn from each other, then that's amazing, right? So it's looking at like, okay, if there's something like that that you can recognize in yourself, cool. That's one way for me to prevent burnout. Other ways for you to prevent burnout are setting realistic goals. Sometimes we get a little overambitious in the goals that we set, right? And that's one thing that I work on with you guys one-on-one when you are in the Profitable Blogger Society, or if you're in Shift, one of our 2 coaching programs. And I help every single person that joins those groups to set realistic goals. I want you to be challenged. I want you to have fun. I want you to be excited about what you're reaching for. But I don't want you to burn out. I don't want you to get 3 months in and be like, there's no way I'm going to reach this. Why on earth did I trust Bree? We don't want that. We want to set goals that we're going to hit, and that we're going to hit in a way that is manageable. You're not doing this. This is not a get quick rich scheme over here. Okay. This is not an industry where you hope to go viral and make $1 million. Like, it just doesn't work like that. And so we have to be very realistic with the goals that we're setting for ourselves. And so that looks like, not taking on more than we can chew, not setting things that don't have a timeline attached to them. So what I mean by that is we need to set measurable goals. So if you're like, cool, I want to grow my page views. Amazing. How many page views do you want to get to in the next year? My goal is to get on Mediavine. Amazing. How many is that? Like, let's be concrete. Okay. When do you want to be able to apply for Mediavine? When do you want to hit that? I've had so many people also join that are like, I want to be on Mediavine within a year, and they're just getting started. I'm like, whoo, okay. How many hours a week do you? I'm walking you guys through exact scenarios. Okay. So then I'm going to ask you, if you come to me and tell me that, I'm going to ask you how many hours you have per week to work on your blog in order to help you get on Mediavine. If you come to me and you tell me 10 to 15 hours, I'm then going to ask you, all right, how long does it take you to write a blog post with correct SEO that is going to get you traffic? And you tell me it takes me 4 to 5 hours to do that, and I want to release 2 a week. Then I'm going to ask you, okay, are you going to do anything else other than write blog posts? Yes, I want to post on Instagram. I want to grow a Facebook group. I want to do this. You see how ooh, okay, the hours are not adding up to what you are able to physically do, which sets yourself up for failure and for burnout because you're pushing yourself too hard and we didn't set realistic goals. So that's why it is so important just to be like, let me analyze things, let me set things that are realistic and that are measurable. They've got a time attached to them and they've got a number attached to them if there is a number involved. The other thing that we want to do is take breaks. Did you guys all take a break over the holidays? Whichever holiday you celebrate, did you take a break? Did you walk away from social media? Do you put down your phone on the weekends and not post on social media? Do you have good boundaries in place and allow yourself to go and have fun? If you are doing nothing but work, maybe you have a full-time job and then you're coming home, you're eating dinner, you're working, you go to sleep, you get up, you work. I understand 100% the side hustle and trying to get something else working. But we still have to make sure we are taking care of ourselves and giving ourselves breaks. So if you're working at night, I get it. I understand. I am currently in that season because I have a little baby at home and I don't have full-time childcare. So there are nights that I am working. But here you go. More life examples from Bree. Had a therapy appointment. And I was like, I am just feeling really, I don't know if I said the word burnout, but that was 100% what it was. And told her, I'm like, I feel like my cup is beyond empty. Like there is nothing in it. It is bone dry. And so we talked about different things and we talked about how, taking care of little kid, I had things around the house that I had to do. I have this business that I'm trying to keep running and keep growing and keep making sure that everybody is being taken care of inside of my communities. And, if I have any free time, I'm feeling like I need to be working, like I need to be picking up my laptop. Why would I have time to go and spend an hour and get my nails done? I should be spending that hour working. That's how it was for a couple months recently. And talked about just like, okay, well, like what happens when you do that? And about how when I would go to pick up the computer, how I would be working really slow. And if you know me at all, and I don't know if it's obvious by like listening to me on the podcast, I'm a really fast worker. Like I am very organized. I know what needs to get done. I know how it needs to get done. I love to batch things. You guys know I love to batch things. And so I work really quickly. But I was finding that when I would go and pick up my laptop, I just felt really sluggish. I was getting things done, but like it was taking me much longer to do things. And so we talked about just like, okay, what is like the result of me being like, no, I have to keep pushing. No, I have to keep going. I have to keep working. I don't have time to take a break. And as a result, I was exhausted. I was mentally tapped, physically tapped, not taking care of myself, and burning out in multiple areas of my life. And so I'm sharing all that to say, I understand having to juggle so many different things. But when I finally slowed down and took some time off, And by time off, I mean I sat down and watched Gilmore Girls at night instead of sitting on my computer cranking work out. And as a result, I slept better at night and I was able to be more refreshed when it came to getting things done. And I mean in all aspects. So when that came to like, my kitchen is pretty messy, I need to get that cleaned up, versus I've been going 24/7. I don't even care about the kitchen right now. I know you all know what I mean about that. So it affects every single thing we do. So that is why taking breaks is so important. Obviously, we can't take a break all the time, but recognizing, you know what, this week, maybe I need to work 2 nights and the other nights, like I need to do something fun. Maybe I need to watch a TV show. Maybe I need to pick up the paint. Maybe I need to take myself out to Barnes and Noble and peruse or go to my favorite boutique and shop for a little bit. Whatever it may be, whatever lights you up, whatever sparks that creativity and that fun for you, prioritize it. It is going to help prevent burnout. Also prioritizing self-care within that, right? Whether that means going to therapy, whether that means drinking more water, whether that means trying to sleep more, which I'm laughing at that because my child does not sleep through the night. So, there's that. But whatever that looks like for you, whether it's just drinking more water or sitting outside for a few minutes to let the sun get on your skin, even if it's cold wherever you are, whatever that looks like, making sure that you are taking care of yourself. So be realistic with what you have to work on. Give yourself a plan, give yourself strategic, realistic goals. And my other strategy that I want to talk about is just having a manageable list of what to work on. So I was just in a call with the Profitable Blogger Society, and one of the gals in there was talking about how she just had so much on her plate and she didn't know what to focus on and just felt a little bit overwhelmed and like things weren't necessarily getting done. Just too much on your plate, right? One idea that we came up for her was dividing things into times. And so she was saying how, I have some time in the morning that I could work, sometime at night, sometime throughout the day. It's different times. It's not always scheduled. It's not always perfect. It's messy, right? We all have that. So what we kind of came up with for her was going into, whether it's your Asana, whether it's your planner, whatever it is that you're using, but dividing the things that you have to work on into time. So let's say you have 4 different tasks that you need to get done this month that take you about 30 minutes each. And then you have some tasks that take you about an hour, and you have some tasks that are a little bit longer and take you 3 to 4 hours, whatever that looks like for you. Time chunks of like, okay, this task takes me half an hour. This task takes me 3 hours. So then when you have the time to sit down and work and you're like, cool, I've got 30 minutes to work. What can I grab from my list and knock it out? You're going to go to that 30-minute list, grab something and knock it out. Or, cool, I'm headed to a coffee shop. I'm going to work there for 2 hours. Let me grab 2 things from the 1-hour list and knock those things out. I loved this idea and this concept for her, and she really enjoyed it too. And I'm excited to hear the results of how this works for her. And so that's why I wanted to share it with you guys, because sometimes it's like, how do I manage this massive list of things that I have to do? What needs to get done first? All of it. Do you ever feel like that? Like, I have this list. What do I need to do first? All of it. Literally all of it needs to get done right now. And so if you can break things out into times or into order of importance, like maybe these are urgent, non-urgent, save for later, whatever works for your brain. So if you can need to prioritize them by priority, organize them by priority, or organize them by time, do that. So that way the goal of this is that when you sit down to your computer to work, you can grab something from the list and get it done, rather than sitting down at your computer and being like, okay, what do I work on? And your brain going in 20 different directions, you opening 400 different tabs on your computer, and you get something done that could have taken you 30 minutes and it takes you 2 hours, right? Because we're scattered. So we want to be focused and know exactly what we're going to do when we're working. That way we can be very efficient. And that way you have time for other things like breaks, like self-care, like taking care of yourself, right? All of those things. The last thing I want to throw in here under, this umbrella of like strategies for preventing burnout is learning to say no when it's necessary and establishing boundaries with yourself and with others. Let's be honest, right? So, whatever that looks like for you, you know what kind of boundaries that you need to have in your life, whether it's boundaries with your phone, with your laptop, with other people, when you need to say no to certain things to protect yourself, your mental health, your family, whatever it may look like. I don't know your particular situation, so I'm not even going to give any examples here because this is different for everyone. And you know what I'm talking about when I say these words. So, boundaries are good. Boundaries are healthy. Boundaries take care of yourself and your family. So, saying no is okay. All right. Let's kind of wrap this up with just recognizing some signs and reminding ourselves of what some of those signs are. And so, I just want you guys to be super aware. I've given a bunch of examples here, but I want you to, whenever you're feeling like, ooh, if I keep going down this road, I'm going to burn out. If we just have that awareness for ourselves, it is going to make a huge, huge difference. That is something that I learned, and it's really helpful when I kind of stop pushing so quickly or recognizing when I am pushing too hard and being like, oh, hold on, Bree, you need to check yourself here or you're going to burn out. So I want you to be proactive in addressing stress and exhaustion before it becomes overwhelming. There is a gal inside, she's in shift now, but this is a good example of just how it is so beneficial to talk to your peers and get advice or accountability. Okay. So, Brooke, she's been on the podcast before, and she is now in our Level Up Shift program. So, if you are making consistent income for the last 12 months, then Shift is where you want to be. If you're just getting started or you're looking to start making money, Profitable Blogger Society is where you want to be. So just to explain those two programs to you real quick. So she started inside Profitable Blogger Society, and she started to get super, super burned out. And I think it was similar time to this last year, actually. And so she took a break and talked to us in one of our group coaching calls that we had one month. And we talked back and forth about the different things that she had going on. She was a full-time nurse and also trying to grow this brand and just was totally, totally burned out. And it was really starting to affect her mental health. And so we figured out, okay, cool. This is what you need to focus on. These are the things that you can do. And everything else, you need to just give yourself a break. And I think she took about a month where she stepped back quite a bit from what she was doing. I'm trying to remember, but I want to say she may have even like taken a step back from Instagram almost permanently. If not, just like had something scheduled out. And came back refreshed, refocused, so much so that she has grown tremendously and is now inside Shift as a result of her growth. But what it also has allowed her to do is by her hitting that burnout wall so hard, she is now hyper aware of what do I need to do to prevent it, and very aware whenever she starts to feel like, ooh, if I keep going down this road, I'm going to burn out. And we've had conversations about it since then about like, I really want to do this, but I think I need to wait until January to do this, or I think I need to wait a couple more months to start doing this. And so that's what I want you guys to start doing is just like recognizing those signs of when you're starting to feel like it might be too much, getting some advice or accountability from your peers or from a coach, and allowing yourself to prioritize growth in the long run rather than like pushing yourself to the point of burnout. Because I don't know about you guys, but have you seen people that you follow on social media or on their blogs where it's like you're seeing their content all the time, every single day, so much content. It's great, it's great, it's great. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, where did that person go? I feel like I haven't seen her content in a really long time. Could be that they burnt out, right? And so we don't want to do that to our audience because we want this to be a long-term growth plan, not a short sprint. So if you're feeling burnt out right now, or you need a plan to prevent burnout or get yourself out of burnout, do you need strategy, coaching, and to stop going alone? If so, I want you to hop over to Instagram and DM us the word help. That's it. Just DM us the word help. And we have a couple of resources that we want to point you in the direction of so that way we can help you get strategic with what you're doing, stop feeling burnt out, start feeling more creative, and get coaching and advice to just really take this brand and grow it long term. So I hope this episode really helped you guys. I hope to help you feel less alone and equip you with some tools and some, even just some like knowledge and awareness that you can take into the rest of this year. So that way you don't hit burnout at any point this year. Or maybe, you're like, ooh, fall was really crazy, or the holidays were nuts. I don't want to do that again next year. And being aware of that and setting up strategies now that are going to help you long term and to keep loving what you're doing, keep feeling creative, keep having that buzz and that excitement about growth and not hit that burnout wall. Don't forget, hop over to Instagram, DM us the word help, and we can chat more over there. All right. I'll see you guys next week for a brand new episode.